So, hi there. In this video, I'm going to be talking about creating a database in Access, or you can say creating an Access database. And basically, you can, because it's a Microsoft product, you can always come to Windows, the Windows icon over here. If you click on it, you can search for Access in the list of programs that you have, and you can open an instance very easily here. So when you open it up like this is what it shows you. And first of all, you can see the first option it gives you is a blank database. But like with most of the other Microsoft products, Microsoft tries to help the new user or the non-expert user, if you like, with templates. So here are a lot of templates that you can use to get started with whatever you want to do. So here, I mean, this is an asset tracking database, potentially a contacts database, a students database, event management, task management, edition tracking. If you click here, there's more, and you can actually search through um, the templates, and there's categories of templates also, business uh, databases, uh, industry, so that there's a long list of different kinds of templates that you can use that Microsoft would like to help you with. So if I go back to that same screen, that original screen, um, if you know what you're doing, you can always go for this option, which is the blank database. In another video, I'm going to explore one of these templates, just so you can see how to customize it. So if you pick any of this, you're expected to customize it to fit into your needs or to whatever purpose you're designing a database for. For the purpose of this particular video, it's going to be about I'm going to choose this option, which is choosing a blank database. So when I click on this, it shows me this display, and this window basically gives me an opportunity to name my database, give it a name. So I mean, I can call it anything. Let's say I call this one um, my database, something like that. I can also choose the directory wherever I want to put it, something like that. So I can choose it. I'm gonna go by the default one that I have right here, which is gonna save it in my documents. And so that's fine with me. But if you need to change it, you can always explore this option over here and click on it. I'll go to another folder to save the database. So when I click on create, right now, it's going to create a database for me. So right now, you can see what Access looks like. This is essentially what you're seeing right now is essentially what an Access database will look like. And so you have, see, immediately there's a table immediately created by default. What does that tell you? It means that every database has a table, must have a table. And in fact, it is not a database until there is at least one table. So immediately I created, you notice, immediately I created the database comes with a table. I still have to save the table, but the table is already created for me. It's called table one by default. So that's always important. That always comes with it. So again, let me say, it doesn't matter how sophisticated the database is. If it's Oracle, if it's SQL Server database, it doesn't matter if it's Access. Every database must have at least one table. If it doesn't have a table, it's not a database essentially. Okay, so you can basically explore everything here. Um, some of the basics here, starting from the file option that you have here. The file option will bring you here. Of course, it can bring you to this display that shows you the last few databases you worked on here. Gives you a bit more information about do you want to create a new one potentially, and the potential and the templates that you can potentially use. Um, so you have that home option, you have the new option, you have the open option, so you can open up your more recent databases. And this gives you information about your database. And here, of course, it's for save, to save your database. Here, it's for print, and you have some other details here you can explore later. Okay, so that's the file option, the home option, the home tab here. Pretty much what you have here makes Access behave pretty much like any other Microsoft product. So like you can change the font, um, the like the color of the font for your table. You can change make it bold, make italicize, underline your font in your database. You can change the size of the font. You can change the type of font. You can also change alignment. You can do um, you can refresh the database. You can sort the data whichever way you want to sort it. So pretty much behaves like the average Microsoft product, like Access, like Excel. I mean, to a certain extent, you know. So these are the options here. What's most important about this particular view, this particular tab, is that you can look at different views of your table from here, from this icon over here. So this icon has two views. You have the datasheet view, and then you have the design view for your table, basically. So the datasheet view is, I call it the data view. This is the view where you can see your data. So if I have data in this table, for example, if I save, I don't know, maybe I save HR data on this table, you can see the data here, all the data entered here. This view, that's the datasheet view. This view, the design view, is where when I click on it, it's going to ask me to save the table. So let me call it my HR table. Let's say HR table, something like that. If I call it that, so it gives me the view. This view is the design view. This is the view where I design my table. The data view or the datasheet view is the view that shows me the data, the view in which I can enter the data. But the design view is the view that in which I can design the table, you know, enter my fields, define my fields here. So what I'm saying is this. I'm going to remove the primary key for this particular field right now. Um, the ID field comes by default with every table, uh, with the table that I just created. It comes by default with when I create a new Access database. Anyways, so if I was to create this table, I'm calling it my HR table, right? So if I was to store the information for employees in a company here, I'll probably go something like first name, last name, something like that. And of course, for this one, just a quick demonstration, I'm going to change this to maybe long text or short text. Short text is better, actually. So let me say I say date of birth, employee date of birth, and maybe I say employee number, something like that. Okay, so what I'm trying to demonstrate right now is that this view is the view where you define or you design the table. Okay, so I'm gonna choose like the appropriate data type for this data. Date of birth should be a date time data type. Employee number should be a number. Okay, something like that. I can save it and then go back to this view. I go back to the data view, the data sheet view. So I can say easily, I can say first name here. If I was to enter the data in, I can say Muhammad Ali. First name, oh no, that's not how to type Muhammad. Muhammad Ali. Last name is Ali. Date of birth, I can pick that from a date picker. So I can say, let's say today, something like that. And I can say employee number is anything, uh, 1101, something like that. I can come here and say Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson. First name, last name. Then I can come here, pick it another date from um, here, and I can say this employee is 1102. That's the employee number, something like that. My point is, this view is the data view, data sheet view. This view is the design view. Okay, so that's the most important thing you probably will need to know about the Home tab. Then, the Create tab shows you everything you can create in Access. So what are the things you can create in Access? These are the things listed here. So look at it. You can create a table. You can create a query. You can create forms. You can create a report or for reports. You can create macros in Access. You can use Visual Basic to um, to help with your macro. So here you can create a table, create a query, a forms, a form rather, a report also. So here it shows the different ways to create a table, different ways to create a query, different ways to create forms, different ways to create reports, and other tools that can help you to create a macro and write code, essentially. External tab, the external tab basically helps you to import new data into Access or export new data out of Access. So you can see here it says import a link. So here you can bring in data into Access. Here you can export data out of Access. It could be out of Access into Excel or into a text file or as an email attachment or into another Access database. And you can use it for a word merge, and then you have a bunch of other options over here. Okay. New data source, when you import data into Access, you have a bunch of options here. Data from a file like an Excel file or an XML file or text file, or from another Access database or other types of databases like a SQL Server database. It can also be data from online or data from other sources also. Database tools, the tab, you can help use this to manage or maintain your database. You can run a macro from here. You can compact and repair your database and a bunch of other things. If you're a starter, a beginner, you probably might not need to do too much here. Okay, so when you have this last one is called table design, and it only shows up when you have a table open or created. And right now I have a table open or created, so I have table fields. So here I can add fields to my table or delete fields from my table. I can also change the properties of my table here, like the data type or something like that. I can modify or format the fields here. So right now I have the date of birth field selected. You can see it's a data type. The data type is date and time. If I select this one, it's a short text data type. Okay, so that's basically a rundown of the Access interface and essentially an introduction to what Access looks like when you first open it up. So Access is generally used to manage data. It's a Microsoft product, and it's if you're new to databases generally, it's a good place to start uh, um, with managing data, generally speaking. So that's what the interface looks like. If you want to create more tables, which you will eventually will have to do, you can always come anything you need to create. Actually, you can always come, like I said, to the Create tab, and these are the things you can create. Okay, so we're gonna go into more lessons later on. All right.